Welcome to Suicide Fantasy Football, Week 4 advice on who you should be looking at the quarterback position in fantasy football, Jim.
There's
if
a
you
lot
had to
going
pick
on.
someone up, who you liking?
Well, the first guy, it depends whether you're looking long-term or
This week
short-term.
or long-term?
This week,
Got it.
Long-term, I'm looking Vince Young. Gotta love Vince Young right now. Michael Vick's getting banged up all over the place. He's complaining about getting hit. That means he's, every game afterwards, he's spending 12 hours in the hot tub.
Let me ask you a
kinds of
question,
therapy.
too. I talked to someone who's kind of knowledgeable about football, who doesn't believe that Michael Vick's hand was really the problem, and did point out that when he hit the ground, the first thing he did was put the hands up on the helmet. You think it's possible that that was reverberations of a concussion, and they're just kind of hiding it behind the hand injury?
Well, if I didn't watch the game and see what happened after that, I would probably agree with that.
Okay.
I'm the first one to say Michael Vick shouldn't be playing in the game, that he hurt his hand because of karma, and Andy Reid's getting punished for putting the guy's welfare behind the team's welfare. I don't think Michael Vick should
Why
be
guys say
playing
welfare with Michael Vick?
because that's the way it is.
Oh, okay.
But that's my thought. Michael Vick shouldn't have been playing. The whole team was worried about him getting hurt. They were playing tight because they were worried about him getting hit in the head again. And Michael Vick was worried about him getting hit in the head. You could see he was a totally different player than he was forever. He should have been sitting on the bench for at least a week. We could have beat the team with Mike Kafka. We didn't need Michael Vick. It would have been a totally different game. I'm telling you, they would have went into it relaxed, just knowing they had a young guy out there. No big deal. I'm telling you, we would have beat the team.
Tore us. What would Mike Kafka have done to defense? Would Mike Kafka have been out making tackles?
It wasn't the problem. The Eagles couldn't play because they were tight. The offensive line was worried about blocking for Mike Vick because they were worried they were going to be the one that got him crushed and made him out for his career or out for the rest of the season. It's a totally different mindset. He is the franchise, and they were all playing sissy when they had the quarterback sneak for Michael Vick. They were all worried that they were going to be the ones that missed the block and got him killed. If Kafka was out there, it's a totally different game. It's completely different. They would have beat the Giants without Michael Vick. That's number one.
Okay,
but
so
on the
pick
bench,
up Vince Young is what he said.
Right on the bench after Michael Vick got hurt, he wasn't shaking his head. He was continuously looking down at his hand. He was having people come over.
Well, I'm not saying his hand wasn't hurt at all. I'm just saying I don't think his hand was as hurt. All of a sudden now it's not broken. It's a contusion.
Well, when you
somehow they thought it was broken. Where I know he went in for X-rays.
Yeah, but when you get hit really hard on something, that immediate sting or whatever, you don't feel it as much until the blood starts to rush there 30 seconds, a minute later, when it really starts to swell up and you start to feel it. When you saw Michael Vick went down on his hand, he got hit with the helmet and then he went down on his hand, and I believe that it was his hand. I don't think that's a problem.
All right, well, Jim thinks Vince Young. I do like it. Now, that's a long-term play. Who's your short-term option?
Well, I mean, there's a couple guys that are out there who I would, if you have to pick somebody up, they need them to play this 1 week, I would go Jason Campbell.
Me too.
Jason Campbell. You got an option to go with Matt Hasselbeck. He's available in half
like
the leagues that
Hasselbeck
are out there.
but
he's okay.
Kenny Britt
not
hurt
great.
him.
Kenny Britt hurt him. Now,
but it might open up Chris Johnson a little bit more, which might then open up for Matt Hasselbeck, who's only got 1 or 2 more weeks before I think the Locker experiment starts.
That's right, Jake Locker comes in, baby.
And I also am a fan of Jason Campbell for this week. He's going against New England, who has proven to not be able to stop anybody. Chad Henne put up over 400 yards. And one thing Jason Campbell is, pretty consistent, pretty accurate.
There you go.
So that's who we like at the quarterback position. Anybody you'd sit this week, Jim? Any matchups that scare you?
Well, we got the sit/drop. I'm dropping Peyton Manning because
if you already have Peyton Manning still on your bench, drop out of fantasy football.
70% of people, or 70% of leagues
have,
he still owned it.
No
so
way.
There's people that are thinking he's going to come back for the playoff run. I wouldn't.
I guess if you got a stud, but he is not coming back. They're not going to put him in jeopardy.
If you can have 3 quarterbacks, he's not a bad one to store on your bench. But if you can't have 3 quarterbacks, you're going to have to drop him eventually because your bye week's coming up, and you're not going to play no quarterback. So he's not going to be back.
And then someone else was saying drop that, we thought he was going to be a bust, but we didn't think he was going to be this much of a bust. Matt
Sandcastle.
Stinks. He stinks. Drop everybody. Drop them all.
Trade Dwayne Bowe and drop everybody else on the
Leonard Pope is probably one of their best fantasy football players this year.
Ridiculous.
So, and then you also got Kerry Collins. Curtis Painter did not look good, but he looked like a better option than Kerry Collins.
Kerry Collins looked like Kerry Collins is 43.
Any chance Favre? Any chance they're calling Favre? No.
Nah. Garrard before Favre.
They want to win the Andrew Luck lottery anyway.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
All right, well, that's our calls for fantasy football.
They signed Dan Orlovsky, just for the record.
I know.
So if you're signing Dan Orlovsky, you're not serious about winning this year. No offense, Dan, but not happening.
If Dan doesn't take offense. He's going, they don't really want to win.
Right.
So, all right, we'll be back next week to tell you who you should be looking at quarterback. And if you get a chance, check out our Blog Talk radio shows Wednesday night, 7:30 to 8:30, and then also pregame, D6. The Wachovia, now Wells Fargo lot down for the Eagles-Niners game. We will be broadcasting live from the One Crazy Fan tailgate. Very cool. Guy made a beer truck, a 60-foot-long beer truck into a party mobile and made a bar in the middle of it that we broadcast live.
He's so lucky I don't drink anymore, I got to tell you that.
Jim breaks out in handcuffs.
Beer and food, they would be in trouble.
All right, check us out on Facebook. Also, SuicideFantasyFootball.com. We made a second chance league for One Crazy Fan. There will probably be another second chance league, but right now, if you just want to sign up, it's starting week 7. SuicideFantasyFootball.com. Hit the sign up now button and take the One Crazy Fan option.